Hello. I want to talk about why there's so many school shootings in America. So just recently there was a shooting in Georgia, my state of Georgia. I think Appalachia High School, just outside of Atlanta. And I want to talk about it. Why are there so many shootings? First of all, America was founded on, gun rights, right? We used guns to fight off the British, right? And it's very much in our history to have these guns. And also we use guns to fight each other during the Civil War and fight off Native Americans or whatever, right? Stop slave revolts. Okay, that's the history of America and gun rights, right? And they have evolved from that to protecting yourself, right? And if you look around, like you compare the United States to Australia, for example, right? Australia is like 87% white, and America is like 57% white. Now, why does that matter? It's because in America, with it being so diverse, there's so many people in America that feel like they need a gun to protect themselves from outsiders, right? So there's a lot of people in America that don't like Mexicans or don't like black people or don't trust whatever. And they feel like they need to have a gun in order to protect themselves against a minority group that's going to get them, right? Whereas in Australia, they don't really have that need because they don't really have that fear because, again, they're a mostly homogeneous country. And also, if you try to take guns away from a lot of Americans, they're not going to give it up. Seriously, and a lot of Americans will not give it up. Why were Australians willing to give it up? Because Australians were ruled by the British Empire for much longer than America. And they were used to a king or queen or whatever telling them what to do. So when the government in Australia said, okay, you have to give up your guns, they did it without question, right? Americans are not going to be like that, right? So you have those two factors going into all these guns in America, right? And also, on top of that, the FBI actually knew about this kid a year in advance, and they didn't respond, right? They didn't, put him in a mental institution or whatever, but they knew about him. He was making threats, right? So I feel like a lot of the times you look at these school shooters or whatever, the FBI actually knows about them beforehand. They know that they're going to possibly do this, and they don't apprehend them. They should put them in mental institutions, something like that, so that we can go on about living our lives. Because I guarantee you, if we do gun laws or whatever, more gun laws, background checks or whatever, it's going to be just like the war on drugs, right? We made cocaine illegal. That didn't make the cocaine problem go away. We made fentanyl illegal. That didn't make the fentanyl problem go away. Now all you got is, gangs selling those drugs, rather than, pharmaceutical companies, right? And by the way, most of the gun violence in America is either suicides or gang related, okay? So if you look at the gun violence, it's mostly, a Crip versus a Blood or a whatever versus MS-13 versus whatever. It's not really these school shootings that you hear about. But yes, in order to get school shootings down, the FBI needs to do a better job of informing all other schools that, hey, this kid might go shoot up a school, because they knew that this kid was going to shoot up the school, right? They already had threats of him when he was 13 years old, right? So they should have done something about it beforehand. But they didn't, and that's what makes me mad about this whole situation. And like I said, I really don't think that any new gun laws are going to affect anything. Murder is already illegal, right? and yet people do it, right? So again, there's people that get killed from car accidents. We don't ban cars. There's people like, you know, all kinds of stuff. We do register cars. I think that you should register your gun. Definitely. I think that there should be a national gun registry. And I think that we should do something about the amount of illegal guns in this country, because there are a lot of illegal guns coming in from south of the border, right? So we got to do something about this situation. But on top of that, I don't think that there's anything you can really do. I mean, people are going to have guns in this country. There's over 400 million guns in this country. More guns in this country than any country on the planet. There's more guns in this country than there are people in this country. And yet we have so much violence, right? The gun lobby's thing is it takes a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun. Well, I mean, you saw what happened, right? I mean, the police stopped him eventually, but I mean, your argument is that like someone with a gun would just shoot them right away if they saw someone take out a gun, right? And it's not Hollywood. This isn't Hollywood. This is the real world. That doesn't really happen. So I don't know. That's all I gotta say.